funny though. I gotta put this in here. How the same people, like you got the Sarah Silverman is jumping up and they want so much action, but these same, they jumping up, and even black people jumping up, which kills me. They want to attack Kanye West. But rap music is pushed. Death and destruction. We could talk about killing each other. Yep. We could talk about doing this to each other. And that's promoted by these same label heads that's making millions, billions of dollars. They push that shit with impunity. They don't care. As soon as somebody says something, a statement, they want to start dissect it and say, oh, this needs to be this. But, black people killing each other. That's cool, right?
Many in Hollywood are speaking out following a recent offensive tweet from Kanye West, repeatedly labeled anti-Semitic by the Anti-Defamation League and others. On Saturday night, West wrote a tweet that included anti-Semitic language and continued, "You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone whoever opposes your agenda." Twitter removed Ye's tweet on Saturday for violating the platform's rules. Among those who spoke out about the incident were Jamie Lee Curtis, who wrote, "The holiest day in Judaism was last week. Words matter. A threat to Jewish people ended once in a genocide. You are a father. Please stop." Comedian Sarah Silverman noted silence from those outside the Jewish community following West's statements. Kanye threatened the Jews yesterday on Twitter, and it's not even trending. Why do mostly only Jews speak up against Jewish hate? The silence is so loud. And among others speaking out, such as the Black Jewish Entertainment Alliance and the Creative Community for Peace, actor and comedian Michael Rappaport addressed his previous defenses of West during his public spat with Pete Davidson, calling the rapper a creep and arguing that he's pushing the same rhetoric as U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Get the dust out of your beard. Take a shower, okay? I don't care what you're on or what you're not on. Take a shower.
The rapper's weekend tweet followed Meta's removal of Instagram posts by West for violating that platform's policies after he posted text messages between him and fellow rapper P. Diddy that was also criticized as anti-Semitic. The Anti-Defamation League also responded to West's recent behavior, writing, "The behavior exhibited this week by Kanye West is deeply troubling, dangerous, and anti-Semitic, period. There is no excuse for his propagating of white supremacist slogans and classic anti-Semitism about Jewish power, especially with the platform he has."
Talk about this tweet, right, that Kanye said, right? He put, "I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is, I can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew also. You guys have toured with me and tricked and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your agenda." Wow. And then if you look at it, people say, "Oh, Nick Cannon said the same thing." They didn't know. And I saw some lady, I forget her name, something Silverman, and she was saying, like,
Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, how everybody's so quiet, like it didn't even happen. Like, they want to get Kanye West. But I'm thinking, like, what can you really do to Kanye West at this point? He's a billionaire. Mm-hmm. He ain't the guy like a Nick Cannon who's really relying on, their TV shows and things like that. He already did it. And he could take, his brand and go do what the hell he want with it at this point in time. Now, you could slander him through the media. You can call him this. You can call him that. But what can they really do to Kanye West? But what's your thoughts when you seen this tweet?
I laughed. I laughed because not only did I laugh, because I knew what was coming out of it. Right? I knew the shitstorm that Kanye just brought on to himself by saying that. Now, a lot of people, in particular in the Jewish community, that spoke out against this had an issue with him saying DEFCON 3 when it pertained to Jewish people. I looked up the meaning. DEFCON 3, roundhouse, increase in force readiness above that required for normal readiness, which basically meant he was getting ready for the war and the shitstorm he knew that was coming his way once he made the statement that he made. He did not talk about any Jewish people dying. He didn't talk about any Jewish people being hurt. He didn't talk about harming any Jewish people. All he said was he was going to go against the grain, against the powers that be, who happen to be all Jewish.
Right.
I'm not afraid of you. We've seen what happened when people even utter the word Jew and it doesn't follow up by absolutely beautiful comments. They get checked.
Yeah.
They get whipped. They get the fucking whip slapped across their back and they are forced to apologize. Look at Whoopi Goldberg. Look at Nick Cannon. These are just a few names within the last year that have said some things that Jewish people do not like and were forced to get on their knees and apologize and lose money while they did it and lose time on their work, why they did it, and they were publicly embarrassed and lynched for uttering anything negative toward Jewish people, even though they ain't talking about harming them, affecting them, taking away their money, taking away anything. Who owns Hollywood? Who owns the music industry? Shit, who owns this building? It's just... I am not an anti-Semitic. Right. I don't hate anybody out here, but we're going to call the truth for what the fuck it is. And what does ish mean anyway? Do we really want to go there?
Right.
That means kinda, sorta, not really, right? So if they kinda, sorta, not really, who are the real ones? And if he feels like black people are the real children of Israel, are the real Jewish people, why are we beating him up for that?
And then you gotta...
When you do talk about hatred, this actually is very timely for what's happening right now, because Kanye West tweeted on just recently, and I'll read his...
It was yesterday. Yesterday morning.
He wrote,
I woke up to this.
Yeah, this is what he said, in case people don't know. I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. And then he goes on to say, the funny thing is I can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew also. You guys have... Anyway, he goes on. You saw that tweet, and you responded immediately saying this. Also, on October 9th, the holiest day in Judaism was last week. Words matter. A threat to Jewish people ended once in genocide. Your words hurt and incite violence. You are a father. Please stop.
I burst into tears. I woke up and burst into tears. DEFCON 3 on Jewish people? What are you doing? It's bad enough that fascism is on the rise around the world, but on Twitter, on a portal, to pour that in, as if Jewish people haven't had it hard enough, as if Asian people, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a movie about an immigrant Asian family. If Asian people haven't had enough, it was just abhorrent. Mm-hmm. It's abhorrent.
Slaves were nothing but properties to their masters. They had been treated unsympathetically. Their punishments were horrific and inhuman. Slaves' masters controls the general condition of their slaves' lives, including their movements, what they eat, their families, properties, and even their lives. Slaves' masters had the right to deny their slaves from marrying. In general, a slave had few rights over his spouse and offspring. Many slaves lost their lives because of the cruel and dehumanized treatments by their masters. Slaves were killed by cruel executions depending on their offenses. These are the most horrifying ways slaves had died. 1. Brutal whipping. Whipping is the main method of punishing slaves. The beatings and whippings are usually horrific. Pregnant women, the young and even the gray-haired were not exempted. Number of lashes depends on the seriousness of the offense. Slaves were whipped daily, not necessarily on offenses, sometimes abuse was performed. A lot of times they were whipped without wrongdoing, to demoralize them and keep them bent to their work. A slave can receive up to 500 lashes. Many slaves died while being brutally whipped. 2. Severely limited space. Slaves were cramped up horribly in order to maximize the amount of slaves for more profits they could make. Slaves were chained and squeezed in a very limited space. They were unable to go to the toilet, they had to lie on their own excretion. Sickness spread quickly, which leads to deaths of many slaves. They were bunched up so tightly that position were hardly changed regardless of the pregnant, young, or old. Many slaves died as a consequence of their physical conditions. Some died while waiting for a ship to fill, which can take up to 3 to 6 months before the kidnapping and capturing is complete. When the ship is filled up, the journey could take as long as 3 months. During this journey, unwanted slaves will be thrown into the ocean alive along with the body of the dead slaves. 3. Suicides. Some slave refused to eat, they starved themselves to death. The preferred death to the horrific journey, that involved torture, rape, and even murder. Some slaves managed to get hold of weapons from slave traders, which they didn't use against the crew but themselves in act of suicide. Some jumped overboard to drown themselves. Many jumped together holding hands, with their fingers grasped together till the end. Although, slaves traders always tried to prevent slaves from taking their own lives, because each death of slave reduced the profit of the journey. Slaves died in high rate from suicides. 4. Amputation of limbs. The punishment for slaves who tried to escape, or had escaped, and been captured again, are mostly amputations. If caught once, masters severely torture and starve the slave for days in order to warn him. But if it so happened that after this sort of harsh punishment slave repeat the same sin, leg or arm will be cut off. Many slaves died due to the pain during the amputation. Some wounds were left untreated, which results to death of many slaves. Five. Appalling executions. Slaves were mostly executed by hanging. But there were more terrifying ways slaves were put to death, such as chaining slaves to 3 till they starved to death. They were also burnt and boiled alive. Slaves were sentenced to death on minor faults. Many slaves died through this horrific executions.
Know that God is a damn white man!
לא הכל כושים מברכים, אלא צריך שיהיה כושי שאבא שלו ואמא שלו לבנים. איפה אתה תדע? אם אתה יודע, תופעה שאתה יודע, ואתה יצא להם בן קוף, יצא להם בן ככה.
Eric from Georgia. Eric?
Hi. How do you feel about the beer company that pulled the commercial you endorsed because of your anti-Jew lyrics?
Well,
Anti-Semitic lyrics would be a nicer way of putting it.
well,
It's just kind of funny.
That motherfucker got us. Yo, what we about to do?
First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna sue this ignorant fuck. That's what we're gonna do. I don't know, again, defamation of character, libel, I don't really care. The anti-Semitic piece of fucking shit. Who the fuck does he think he is? Unfucking believable. That kind of fucking bullshit, Jew-bashing bullshit. You know what? I'll call my friends at the JDL. They'll handle him. We'll see how much he likes that.
Jerry, you gotta relax. Alright, niggas don't even know what anti-Semitic means anyway. It's just a
The anti-Semitic piece of fucking shit. Who the fuck does he think he is? Unfucking believable. That kind of fucking bullshit, Jew-bashing bullshit. You know what? I'll call my friends at the JDL. They'll handle him. We'll see how much he likes that.
Jerry, you gotta relax. Alright, niggas don't even know what anti-Semitic means anyway.
Breaking news overnight. The View co-host Whoopi Goldberg suspended for 2 weeks for her comments about the Holocaust.
Over the weekend, Jackson took to Instagram to promote messages and quotes that are purportedly linked to Adolf Hitler. Jackson also shared quotes to his 1 million plus followers from Louis Farrakhan, the leader of the Nation of Islam. Farrakhan has long been considered an anti-Semite by the Anti-Defamation League.
It is a quote from Minister Farrakhan, but it is in Minister Farrakhan was quoting Hitler. And he said, Hitler said, because the white Jews know that Negroes are the real children of Israel, and to keep America's secret, the Jews will blackmail Americans. This goes on. I don't really want to read more of it. You can.
We should.
You want to read more of it?
They will extort America. Their plan for world domination won't work if the Negroes know who they were. The white citizens of America will be terrified to know that all this time they've been mistreating and discriminating and lynching the children of Israel.
So there you go.
And here's what's happening in Eagle Under Fire. Wide receiver Deshaun Jackson posts anti-Semitic content on social media, and the reaction is utter outrage and condemnation.
Action. Nick Cannon is not asking for forgiveness, but after what he said this past summer, many think he should. Bigoted comments he made on one podcast threw his stardom and future into a tailspin.
You can't be anti-Semitic when the Semitic, when we are the Semitic people, when we are the same people that who they want to be. That's our birthright. That's our birthright.
The Cannon's Class episode featured Richard Griffin, a.k.a. Professor Griff, who had been kicked out of Public Enemy back in 1989 for anti-Semitic comments. He and Nick retread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and questioned the birthright of the Jewish people. The reaction was swift and widespread. Nick lost his deal with Viacom CBS and stepped away from a daily radio show. His journey began with the rabbis.
When I watched the piece, and there was somebody there who was saying, I'm not even a real Jew.
Right.
That goes right to the heart.
I hurt people. I'm going to lean into it. I want to understand why I hurt you. What did I say? What are these tropes? Educate me.
Nick's question.
No, that God is a damn white man. You know that devil is black. Brother Lyons! Brother Lyons. Now you know the Lord set me out to win over the devil and his evil. Brother Lyons, you get that black nigger out here. By the lost tribes of Israel, nigger! Back over! The lost tribes of Israel were black.